What is up, everybody? Saucy Picks MMA back in action. It's been a slow couple weeks, but I'm back here, ready to make another video breakdown UFC 313. We got a freaking awesome card. It's gonna be sweet. Looking at some good bets. I feel like I have some good reads, especially on the underdog fantasy and DFS plays. Feel like I got some good reads. Man, I'm excited. This is gonna be freaking awesome. We got a great card, some really sleeper fights, fights that they're gonna be good, to be honest with you. I'm excited to break it down. Had some unfortunate cancellations, in particular the Dan Hooker cancellation, but it is what it is. We got Rafael Fiziev in place of Dan Hooker, which is that's gonna be a great fight. As you see there, Fiziev is of course favorite. Yeah, this is gonna be good. I'm excited. Couple announcements, as you guys saw on my Instagram. Got a pet hedgehog. Her name's Roxy. She's gonna be incorporated a little bit into the channel, which is gonna be fun. We're doing the ladder challenge on the DFS apps, in particular the Underdog Fantasy app. Currently, the furthest we've got is the third week, and this week actually is the third week again. So this will be our second time on the $50 bet to $150. I've got it locked in already. I feel like it's a good play. I actually used one of my free squares, and it allowed up to $50, so that's sweet. I'll get more into detail on that though on my Instagram. Stay tuned for that. I'll get that video posted here within the next day or so. Yeah, without further ado, here we go. Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda, the first fight on the card. El Guapo versus Sexy Mexi. It's gonna be a good fight. Nothing really crazy. Not I guess compared to some of the other fights on this card. This isn't anything amazing. Of course, we got Chris Gutierrez, leg kicking machine. Um, has really good kicks, pretty good hands. We don't see his wrestling very often, but it's not bad either. John Castaneda has really good boxing, really sharp, crisp boxing, which is awesome for him. As far as a breakdown goes, and a pick, I think Chris Gutierrez has the edge in this one. He's got not necessarily the um I guess experience factor or edge. Um, but it seems like in the UFC he has a little bit more of a, I guess, just a little more UFC experience for Chris Gutierrez. I believe he's the favorite. Oh, looks like no odds. I want to say I saw the odds on DraftKings. Chris Gutierrez is a slight favorite. Nothing crazy. But I think he'll go in here. This is going to be a striking battle. Um, I would personally, I would definitely, or at least depending on what the line is at, which let me check really quick. As far as the DFS apps go, I'm thinking either John Castaneda or Chris Gutierrez on their overs on significant strikes. I don't really see anyone getting KO'd. Um, Let me look at the lines really quick. So if we're looking here, okay, they do not. Looks like they do not have the lines up yet for this fight, just because it's so new. Um, But I imagine when they come out, the lines will be pretty good on these, and the overs could look pretty dang good. I think it's going to be a stand-up battle for all three rounds. Chris Gutierrez is going to, chip away at the legs like he does. I think he's got the edge in this one. I think I'll take him as a pick. I don't know if it'll be super exciting, but there will be, probably quite a few strikes thrown. Most likely a decision, but to be honest with you, it's got split decision written all over it. So steer clear for me, as far as this is a no bet just because it's just seems too scary. Maybe a decision prop, that's a possibility for sure. But for the pick, I'll take Chris Gutierrez. Fight number two on the card, we got Ozzy Diaz and Jordan Santos. So I'm still a little confused as to why Jordan or Ozzy Diaz is in the UFC. Dude lost on the Contender Series and then gets brought in on short notice to fight Ming Yang Zhang, I believe is his name, and gets slept in the first round. Jordan Santos, real kind of, I guess, meat and potatoes kind of guy. He really likes his striking's good, but it's a 1-2 jab, jab, 1-2 jab. And it's just sticking to the basics when it comes to his striking. but it's sharp. His striking is sharp. Ozzy Diaz is a brawler. He goes in there, foot on the gas pedal, pressure forward. And I think Jordan Santos is going to be able to uh, pick his shots, conserve energy. Ozzy Diaz will start to slow down. Jordan Santos will start to take over. I think we probably see a Jordan Santos KO in this one here. Um, I just am not an Ozzy Diaz guy. The dude does not impress me. Nothing about him really impresses me. He has pretty poor takedown defense. His striking isn't that great. There is always the odd chance, an off chance that he does sleep Jordan Santos just because, he's very heavy on the forward pressure. He likes, car crash battles, sloppy fights. If he can make it a really sloppy fight, he's got a shot at um, potentially, clipping Jordan Santos. But as far as a pick goes, I feel way more confident going with Jordan Santos once again, just because Ozzy Diaz, I don't feel like he's very good or even the real deal. So the pick here is going to be Jordan Santos minus 185. I hate the line, and Ozzy Diaz, I just don't trust with my money. So this is a no bet as well. Um, Myron, moving on, Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. So Myron, he's I feel like the way we look at him is a non-volume striker, but he throws a lot more than you think he does. He picks his shots really, really well though. He's coming off winning the Ultimate Fighter. Francis Marshall's coming off a split decision win against Dennis Bazookia on short notice, which was actually pretty impressive. Um, but with that said, Dennis Bazookia is nothing crazy or nothing special, so don't put a lot of, I guess, thought into that. Myron Santos, though, man, he looks, at least from what I saw when I watched The Ultimate Fighter, I figured Konoff was going to be able to take him down and beat him there, but man, his takedown defense looked really good. His strikes looked really good. He picked his shots really well and ended up landing that left hook that slept Konoff. Francis Marshall, on the other hand, he's a good striker, not near as good as Myron, though. He's a brawler. He likes to go in, heavy pressure. He's going to brawl the whole time. But I think his path to victory here is wrestling, and I just don't see it happening. Myron Santos, his takedown defense is, pretty good, and I think it's good enough to be able to ward off and fight off Francis Marshall's takedown attempts. At minus 375, though, this is gross. I mean, that number is pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. Myron Santos should not be that big of a favorite over Francis Marshall. With that said, though, Myron will be the pick, and honestly, I wouldn't hate an inside the distance play, to be honest with you, because Myron could find that KO for sure. Moving on, Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal. This is gross, man. This is for a lot of different reasons, and here's why. First off, Alex Morono is 36, okay, 35 years old. I want to say he's older than that now. He's 35 years old. He's chinny. He has no power. Yes, he's a veteran of the game. I'll give him that. Um, and he's fighting Carlos Leal, who is coming off of a robbery loss to Fakardinov. Uh, and so coming off that, we all lost our money on Carlos Leal because Fakardinov got robbed in Abu Dhabi, or other way around, Leal got robbed in Abu Dhabi, which was super frustrating. Pissed me off, pissed all of us off. Leal was definitely roided up in that fight. He won, at the minimum 29-28, if not 30-27. Anyway, so coming into this fight, I was like, oh, Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal. I got Carlos Leal, pretty much off the bat, thinking the line is probably going to be pretty good coming off a loss with Carlos Leal. But no, he's actually bigger than this now. He's now a minus 800 favorite against Alex Morono. That is just not okay. Not okay. I do think he wins. I do think he probably finishes Alex Morono, but minus 800 is just disgusting. Of course, Alex Morono, he's a volume puncher, not super heavy hands, has a good guillotine, some jujitsu, a lot of experience. But Carlos Leal, man, he's gonna be forward pressure. He's gonna eat the shots from Alex Morono and not care, and he's gonna go and swinging bombs, and he's gonna catch Alex Morono on the chin and probably put him away. So with all that said, the pick is going to be Carlos Leal, but I hate the number minus 600, even minus 500, whatever it is, minus 500, minus 800. It's all too big for Carlos Leal. But he will be the pick. Bruno Fajeda versus Armin Petrosian should be a good fight. A couple of good strikers. Bruno Ferreira, Um, man, I've had a tough time picking, who's going to win this one. Bruno Ferreira, not a super crafty striker, but has a lot of power. Armin Petrosian, on the other hand, um, really good striker, great kickboxing, really good footwork. His fundamentals are phenomenal. He's coming off of a knockout loss that I can definitely let slide against Shara Bullet just because he got knocked out by nothing we've ever seen before. So I'll let that slide. Bruno Ferreira, he is coming off a loss. I don't remember who it. I want to say it's Gregory Rodriguez. I could be wrong on that though, but he is coming off of a loss. He is the slight underdog. I think Armin Petrosian is going to be winning this fight until he doesn't. I think it's his fight to lose. He's going to be the better striker. He's going to be, if he can keep his distance, keep his footwork going, really gauge the range against Bruno Ferreira and keep Bruno Ferreira on the, ends of his kicks, the ends of his jabs, those kinds of things. I mean, he's going to be winning this fight. But then, of course, you've got Bruno Ferreira, who's going to probably come in here and is going to land some punches at some point. And with that said, I think he does land punches that are too big for Armin Petrosian, and we'll probably see Armin Petrosian get crumpled. Um, so if it goes to a decision, this is Armin Petrosian. Inside the distance is going to be Bruno Ferreira, but just because Armin Petrosian doesn't really have, power to put away Bruno, and Ferreira is just dangerous at all times. No matter who you are, what you're doing, he's gonna, you know, the spinning elbow against Dustin Solsvis was, he just throws big. He throws big. And I think those big shots are going to land and probably put away Armin Petrosian. So this is a flyer, not confident in any way, shape, or form, but the pick will be Bruno Ferreira on this one. I don't hate the plus 135 on him, but it's just too untrustworthy just because anything could happen in this fight. Love this fight. This next fight I really love. Ray Saruya versus Joshua Van. I really love this fight. First off, the reason I love this fight, a couple of different reasons, is it's two really young guys. 23 years old for Josh Van, 22 years old for Ray Saruya. Number two reason why I love this fight, this is going to really test Joshua Van. This is going to test him uh, when it comes to his grappling. I know he fought Cody Durden last time out, and that's great. But Cody Durden is a wrestler. He's not necessarily a grappler. And the difference between that is Ray Saruya is a grappler. He has some wrestling, but when it comes to the grappling situations, the grappling scenarios and exchanges, Ray Saruya has a little bit of Hatsu Hioki in him. So if you're not familiar with Hatsu Hioki, go back and watch Hatsu Hioki versus Charles Oliveira, or really any of Hatsu Hioki's fights. In particular, his grappling fights, the ones he grapples in. Ray Saruya has a little bit of that in him, and the reason why is because in the exchanges on the ground, he's able to do such slight things like put his foot in a certain position to stop the movement of Joshua Van, or put his hand somewhere that puts a halt to the momentum of his opponent. He's got just a little bit of Hatsu Hioki in him. Definitely greener, no doubt about it. Um, but really, really good in the grappling department. He's phenomenal. He's really good. Again, his wrestling is not probably as good as Cody Durden's, but his grappling in general is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. So this is going to be a tougher test, I think, for Joshua Van when it comes to the grappling exchanges. And like I explained, Ray Saruya is a better grappler than Cody Durden. Here is why I love it for Joshua Van, though, is because it's going to really test him. And then on top of that, if he is able to stuff the takedowns, and not only stuff the takedowns, but also be safe in the grappling exchanges with Ray Saruya, it's going to tell us a lot about Joshua Van. We know him as a volume striker, a volume puncher. Dude throws nearly 9 significant strikes a minute, which is insane. That's so many significant strikes. So if he's able to put necessarily a stop even, but to defend intelligently Ray Saruya's grappling attacks and exchanges, this kid Joshua Van, man, the sky's the limit if that's the case. Um, I love this fight. I really do. For the pick, I'll give you my pick is Joshua Van. I think Joshua Van is going to be able to stay safe. If Ray Saruya gets the back of Joshua Van, it could be scary for him just because Ray Saruya is so good on the ground. He's so good. Um, but I think this is Joshua Van. I think he'll be able to stop the grappling exchanges of Joshua Van, and I think he'll be able to stay safe. Another reason I love this fight is for our whoever's tailing ladder challenge. So currently we are on week 3 where we have a $50 bet on the DFS app, which is the Underdog Fantasy app, to win $150. My bet, at least one of the legs for this, is Ray Saruya lower than 39 and a half significant strikes. Ray Saruya has never landed above 39 significant strikes. So he's never landed above 39 and a half. Or even 39 for that matter. And then in all of his others, it's been like 23 and under. So he really does not. I mean, he's a one trick pony. He does not know how to strike. He has no ground and pound. His striking is pretty terrible. And against Joshua Van, the distance and the range for Joshua Van is going to be the keys. And I just think Ray Saruya, I mean, he's a guy that goes in there and he knows what he's good at. So he's not going to screw around. He's not going to pitter patter around. He's going to go in there. He's going to shoot a takedown right off the bat. I was going to go look it up. I forgot to, but in his debut against, um, it'll come to me, but his most previous fight, I want to say Carlos Hernandez. It wasn't Carlos Hernandez. Um, Let me tell you, it might have been Carlos Hernandez. Yeah, it was. In his last fight, his debut against Carlos Hernandez, I was gonna go back and look and see how fast it took him to shoot a takedown, and I didn't end up looking. But if I remember right, it was literally within the first, I mean, 5 seconds. He goes out there, he knows what he's good at, he knows what he's gonna do, and he knows where he's gonna beat his opponent, and that's in the grappling. So I think he's gonna be grappling and trying to take down Joshua Van the whole fight, and it's not going to leave a lot of opportunities for him to strike. And if he is able to, maybe find the back of Joshua Van, that will be an entire round of no striking for Ray Saruya. So he is one of the legs on our ladder challenge this week. The other leg that I have locked in is actually a free play on the NBA. So I want to say I took Kyrie Irving to score more than 0 points in his game last night, and we have already cashed that. He scored, ended up scoring quite a few and cashed that leg. So we've got just Ray Saruya on the under on significant strikes, and we'll move on to week 4. But either way, Joshua Van's going to be the pick. Really excited for this fight. I think this is a sleeper fight for sure. Moving on, Curtis Blaze versus Rizvan Kuniev. So of course, as we all know, Rizvan. Whoa, hold on, my lights are doing something weird. Whoa, sorry about that, everyone. See if I can't help. I'll fix that. There we go. That's a little better. Rizvan Kuniev beat the PFL champion. Um, Man, what was his name? Bruno Ferreira. It wasn't Bruno Ferreira. That's Bruno Ferreira. It was Ferreira is his last name. Just got knocked out by Francis Ngannou. Anyway, either way, he beat him, but he was juiced to the gills. He had every single substance there possibly is in his veins. Um, Curtis Blades, of course, as we know, good grappler, has relatively good hands. His chin does fail him at times, which is unfortunate for him. Um, I think the best way I can describe this fight is if Curtis Blades is washed, it's a problem, and Rizvan Kuniev will probably have his way with Curtis Blades. If Curtis Blades is not washed, um, then this should be Curtis Blades all day. To be quite frank with you, um, and I don't think Curtis Blades is washed. I mean, his losses and his KO losses are against Tom Aspinall, Derek Lewis, Pavlovich, Ngannou twice. I mean, and I just don't think this Rizvan Kuniev guy is those Pavloviches of the world, those Francis Ngannou's of the world. So I think this is Curtis Blades all day. I think he'll have his way with him. His striking is really good. He has good boxing. And I think he'll be able to, I know Rizvan Kuniev has good grappling. I think Curtis Blades' wrestling is way better. And if he doesn't want to take him down, strike with him. And Curtis Blades should be able to outstrike him. So I think this is Curtis Blades all day. Minus 230 is a little steep for sure. But where it's a debutant for the UFC, I think we're probably all right. I wouldn't take him on the money line. Actually, I wouldn't even bet on this fight just because it's a little greasy. But I don't hate. It is a little steep. I three minus 330 is a little steep, but Curtis Blades will be the pick here for me. So moving on to the main card, we have, well, I guess we're probably already on the main card. King Green versus Mauricio Rufy. Um, man, this is going to be a good one for as long as it lasts, and it's probably not going to last long. King Green, uh, coming off the loss to Patty, where Patty kind of fricked him up. Not gonna lie, Patty really did. Um, Mauricio Rufy coming off of two straight wins, one to Jamie Malarkey, which he knocked him out in the first round, and James Lontop, his last fight out, which he put a beating on James Lontop so bad that he gassed himself out in the third round, just because he was throwing so many strikes and landing so many strikes. King Green, he's just old, dude. He's 38 years old. He's had some bad knockouts recently, bad knockouts, and I think Mauricio Rufy, has the power to knock out King Green. Yeah, so I mean, it's probably a round one knockout for Rufy. Maybe round two. I have a hard time seeing it in round two. The biggest issue with King Green is, first off his chin. Second off, he's had nearly 50 fights. And third, and probably the most important thing about King Green is he keeps his hands down. And if you do that against Rufy, I mean, you're gonna get caught. Dude's got some serious power, and he is really crafty when it comes to striking. So Rufy's the pick. Minus 590 is a huge number, but probably warranted. We're gonna see what he does, but I probably, if you're gonna play Rufy, play him by KO. That's how he's gonna win, no doubt about it. Um, he'll be the pick, and this one shot nickname that he's got is probably gonna ring true tomorrow or this Saturday night. So yeah, Mauricio Rufy for the pick. Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. Man, I've been having a hard time with this one too. I've been going back and forth. Lucindo, really young, 23 years old. Amanda Lemos, really old, 37 years old, but it's women's MMA, so it doesn't quite hurt against Lemos as bad as you'd think it would. Lemos, really poor takedown defense. Lucindo, uh, pretty good grappling. In particular, her body locks are really good. She's coming off a win against Marina Rodriguez. Amanda Lemos is coming off a loss to Verna Jandiroba. Um, Lucindo's just so green, man. She's so green. She has really good striking. Like I said, her grappling is pretty good. Lemos, her striking is probably going to be a little bit better, slightly better than Lucindo's. She's going to have bigger shots, bigger power shots. Her counters are really good. Um, and I think she'll be able to stay safe enough from Lucindo's grappling that she can get her hands on Lucindo as far as striking wise goes. So I think I got to go with the dog here in Amanda Lemos, but not super confident. And the reason I'm taking Lemos for the pick is just because Lucindo's so green. She's so young; she can take a loss here and still be okay. She's had some good wins for sure. Oh man, I am having a hard time picking. I guess I got to go with Lemos just because of the I take it back. I'm gonna go with Lucindo here. I know I was just saying how green she is, and she is green, but she just beat a 38-year-old Marina Rodriguez. Amanda Lemos she did finish Rodriguez, but I don't know, it was a good stylistic matchup for her. I don't know. This one I'm really having a hard time with. I'm gonna go with Lucindo. She'll have the grappling edge. Her striking is pretty good, not probably quite as good as Lemos's. But as far as the grappling edge go, I'm gonna go with Lucindo here for the pick. Not confident whatsoever. Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes, which I'm hearing there's potential rumors of Tom Nolan stepping in for one of these two. Not sure which or if it's even true, but there are rumors going around. Jalen Turner, good fighter, poor fight IQ. Ignacio Bahamondes, really good fighter, granite chin, high volume, um, has some grappling edge in this fight, I think. Let me talk about Jalen Turner for a minute. Jalen Turner is the Magomed Ankalaev of the lightweight division. And here's what I mean by that is he makes the dumbest decisions sometimes, dude. Like like, of course, his most recent one and probably most prominent one is his stupid walk off KO against Renato Moicano. I mean, dude, what are you doing? I don't know. That's one of the bigger problems is his fight IQ is very low. He makes some dumb decisions sometimes. Second problem I have with him is he has never won a decision in his UFC career ever. Actually, in his MMA career, his 14-8 MMA career, professional MMA, he has never won a decision. Huge red flag there for me. He has well, I guess slight positive differential. He absorbs about 4.5 significant strikes while he lands on only 5.5, which is a lot, but the differential there is so slim. While Ignacio Bahamondes, on the other hand, absorbs about 4.5 strikes but lands nearly 8, so a way bigger differential. He's younger, not by much, but he is younger. I think he's really, really crafty and really smart with his strikes. I feel like during fights, you can see Ignacio Bahamondes learning as he is striking with his opponent. And as he is fighting his opponent, you can see in his eyes, he's making the adjustments to be a better fighter in that fight and in that moment. And I think Jalen Turner just makes the dumbest decisions. I don't think his striking is going to be as good. It will be pretty good, but not probably as good as Ignacio Bahamondes. Um, if you're gonna play Jalen Turner, do it round one, maybe round two KO. Ignacio Bahamondes, he's live in every round to find a finish and to win a decision here. So I'm gonna go with him for the pick. He is the slight underdog. It's near even, but he's a slight underdog. But I'm gonna go with Bahamondes for the pick here. I think he's gonna be the better striker. He has a grappling upside. He has better fight IQ, and he's got a granite chin. So with all that said, I think Ignacio Bahamondes is the winner here. All righty, the co-main event, and a little bit of a scary one when it comes to Justin Gaethje. Yeah, that's a little better. I don't like how. Hang tight. That's way too bright. There we go. That's a little bit better. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev, number two. Um, Not the Dan Hooker fight for sure, but still a really good fight. I'm excited for it. I think there's going to be a lot of good for the division in this fight. And here's what I mean by that is I think Justin Gaethje loses. Um, he is the slight underdog currently, rightfully so. The problem with Justin Gaethje is, and it's going to be talked about all week long, is the dude has so many miles, and he's got 30 fights, which isn't a a holy crap, that's a ton of fights. 30 fights is a good amount of fights, but the tread left on Justin Gaethje's tire is probably just about gone. He's been in some wars, and I can name them for you. The Eddie Alvarez war, Michael Johnson war, Dustin Poirier both times, and most prominent, most relevant, most recent is the Justin Gaethje fight, where Justin Gaethje, or sorry, the Max Holloway fight, where Max Holloway beat up Justin Gaethje for 24 minutes and 59 seconds. And then flatlines the dude where he's unconscious for nearly 3 minutes, face first in the canvas. If you think this is going to be the same Justin Gaethje that stepped in there that night against Holloway, you are sorely mistaken. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be a good fighter. He's still going to be a good fighter. He's still going to be Justin Gaethje, but he left a piece of himself in that octagon that night. And that piece of himself he left is never coming back ever. It's just, I don't know. He's about a year off now. In April it'll be a year. But Fiziev is good, man. That first fight, Fiziev was winning. Fiziev had some good moments, arguably won, to be honest with you. Um, and I think Rafael Fiziev is going to be able to make the adjustments in this fight that he didn't make in the first one to put a stamp on it. I think Fiziev is probably going to find a KO. If not, it's going to be a beat up, brutal beat down session for Justin Gaethje for 3 rounds. But man, I'm not shocked if Rafael Fiziev goes in there and sleeps Justin Gaethje. So with all that said, and love Justin Gaethje, always have. It's Rafael Fiziev for me on this one, and I think minus 130 is free money, to be honest with you. That's a good line. A little bit shocked that it's not closer, more of a pick 'em, maybe even a slight underdog for Fiziev. But regardless, I think there's still a lot of value on the line there for Fiziev, and he's gonna look minus 250, 300, if not bigger. I think he goes in there and schools Justin Gaethje in this one. It's 36 years old, a lot of miles, not a lot of tread left on him. I mean, he's probably done, and wouldn't be shocked either if we see a retirement out of him after this fight. So, with all that said, Rafael Fiziev is going to be the pick. Not going to bet this one just because I want to sit back and enjoy it. But yeah, there you go. And what was the fight? Oh, let me scroll back really quick. This fight, Ray Saruya. There's one other thing I wanted to add versus Joshua Van. Still waiting for the lines to drop. But if there's a Ray Saruya, if you can get spreads, if there's a Ray Saruya plus 3.5 on this fight, I think you take it. I think you take it 100%, depending on the line. Just because Ray Saruya to win the first round is going to be at a pretty high mark, and then Joshua Van to win the last two is going to be probably a pretty high mark as well. But if there's a Ray Saruya plus 3.5, that's definitely a number I'm going to be looking at and probably betting pretty heavy on. So just to add that little note. But moving on to the main event, we've got Alex Poitin Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Ankalaev, the slight underdog here, basically even, to be honest with you. Um, Alex Pereira, slight favorite, champion of the world. This fight has been needing to happen for some time now, quite a long time actually. Um, Here's the problem with Magomed Ankalaev is he makes such bad decisions. I mean, just terrible, terrible decisions. Hey, let's lay in Paul Craig's guard in my UFC debut in the last round after I've won the whole fight and get submitted. Okay, that's one dumb decision. Decision number two that he's stupid with. Hey, let's wait 3 rounds and get pieced up by Jan Blachowicz before I take him down. Okay. So that's number two. Number three, 3 strikes, you're out. Hey, let me knock out, I guess not knock out, but let me knee Johnny Walker illegally. Even though I'm winning the fight and probably going to knock him out, let me just knee him illegally, land an illegal strike. So the dude is just not very smart when it comes to IQ. He makes just the dumbest decisions. Um, and the fact that that one right there is freaking Paul Craig because he laid in his guard, it's just, dude, freaking grow a brain. Um, Another thing with Magomed Ankalaev is I've never really thought he's that good. Since his first Iwan Laba fight, and yes, I know I've picked wrong every time since, but I have faded Magomed Ankalaev every fight except for his second Johnny Walker fight since his Iwan Laba fights. I mean, I just don't think he's that good. He got knocked down by Thiago Santos. I just don't think he's that good. Now, his wrestling is probably the best that Alex Pereira has ever seen and will ever face up to this point in time. However, Alex Pereira, his takedown defense has definitely gotten better. His grappling has gotten better. And Magomed Ankalaev is not really a wrestler. I know people keep saying he's a wrestler, all these things, but he's not really a wrestler. He has 0 submission attempts in the UFC. The only fight that he really used his takedowns in is the Jan Blachowicz fight. And I think Alex Pereira is going to be able to get up or at least survive, so from Magomed Ankalaev. So let's say Magomed Ankalaev takes him down in the first round. Alex Pereira, I think he'll be able to survive. And then what? You get to the second round, and what do, Magomed? You get left hooked, head kicked, you know, right cross. You're going to catch some sort of shot from Alex Pereira, and it's going to hurt you. It's not going to be good. So with all of that said, I think I've got to go with Alex Pereira. Like not the most confident pick on the card, but definitely not the least confident pick. I think Alex Pereira is going to be able to land what he needs to land. And I think Magomed Ankalaev is going to make some dumb, stupid A decision that loses him the fight. So with all that said, Alex Pereira is going to be the pick, the official pick, and I will not be betting on this. Well, we'll see what the violence line looks like. If there's a fight to end it, if there's an end inside the distance line and it looks pretty good, we'll see. That's probably what I'll be looking towards. But either way, I'm excited. It's gonna enjoy it. UFC 313. There you have it. The breakdown. Make sure to stay tuned on my Instagram, my TikTok, uh, my Facebook at Saucy Picks MMA. Stay tuned for the ladder challenge video coming out, along with a couple other things I got cooking, as well as Roxy. I want to introduce Roxy a little more. Um, but yeah, there you have it. There's the breakdown. Saucy Picks MMA weekly breakdown. Hopefully, I can be a little bit more um, consistent with videos, a little more consistent with content. But either way, super happy to be here. Super happy for all your support. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, comment if you agree with my picks or not. But follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. But yeah, without further ado, we'll see you next week.